Good morning, this is Mr. Hill, and I wanted to give you a nice video walkthrough of some of the CEMC website this morning. I've had a few questions about it, and it might be different than another course that you've taken in the past, so I wanted to clarify a few things. Okay, hopefully you've read my detailed announcement. Um, it lays out how to walk through some of the course content, the assigned deadlines for your unit tests. So chapters 1 to 3 due by July 13th, and 4 to 6 must be done by July 25th, but you can write them at your own pace as you go through the content. So if you finish a unit, you can write the unit test, but you only get one chance. So make sure you're ready. Um, and and you should be fine. If you're going through the content from the CEMC website and doing your homework and doing the Delta Math, then you should be fine. Now, I do ask that you register for my Delta Math course. It's a way that I can monitor your progress. Um, I can also see that you're working and kind of assess kind of how you're doing based on the content that you're reading. And depending on how much you complete, you can receive as much as 3% on your final grade, depending on how much of the work you do. Okay, and now 3% is quite a bit actually when you figure out how much that would be on an average per test. So it's worth doing, and it also helps you practice your skills and it reinforces your understanding of the content. Okay. Now the other mention in here is in the content section we talk about the CEMC website. So let's go through the content. I'll take you through a little intro here and just to navigate how you can get through some of this stuff. So hopefully you've gone through and looked at some of the class resources. Here there's a link to the textbook right here. So I'm going to do a control click here and that'll open up a link to the textbook. Okay, textbook solutions, all that jazz. Um, so the one thing you want to see here is that all these links are full of information. There's a lot of really good links here. So you might just see some simple text here, but the links open up a lot of, a world to a wonderful amount of things that will help you in this course. Some guy made videos for the whole course. The first four chapters are free, so all things mathematics if you're a video person. But there's also a lot of really good videos. Um, Here's a video. You can use this website to check the solutions to all the textbook questions. Desmos is great for graphing. Um, Okay, but let's have a look at the first unit. Okay, so if we go through so intro to functions and let's this idea of functions versus relations. Now this looks very simple, right? The text is very simple. Doesn't look like there's much here. If you click on here, I do a control click and that opens up in a new window. There's a summary of notes that you can use. Okay. Now, the first thing you should do is actually click on this CEMC link. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but there's a ton of information in here. Okay, so we'll click on that and we'll go through the CEMC website. So this is the Center for Education in Mathematics and Computing at the University of Waterloo. I went to Waterloo for mathematics, and I have to say that the caliber of mathematics there is unbelievable, and the content here is very, very good. So, someone was asking me already, are there videos? So there are videos in here. I know video explanations. You'll see here that
Mathematicians often need to describe how two or more variables are related. For instance, consider scaling a mountain.
so there's a little bit of an explanation between functions and relations. Now, as you kind of go through this stuff, there's some lesson goals, right? Some stuff that you want to try, okay? As you kind of go through, you can click on this right here, okay, and start working through some of the definitions, reading. So there's a ton of really good, a lot of really good information here. It's all very up to date. compared to some of the stuff that you might see in an old school textbook. This stuff is way more relevant, way better. Okay. But you do have to read it, and you are expected to kind of go through it. And so there's lots of good stuff here. One of the things I really like about this, so there's examples, there's solutions, there's a couple of yeah, tons of really good notes. But I love these little check your understandings. Okay, so determine the set of ordered pairs for 4 points that are on the graph. So 4 points that are on the graph here, okay, as you sub in your values for x, what is the value of y? And so, for example, they subbed in. So you can actually um, put in some points here, and you can check your understanding. Okay. There's also, as you kind of go through some of this content here, you can also check your understanding here. So there's one of you check your understandings. You know, you can select the statement that describes the relation above. The relation is a function. The relation is not a function. So, so remember, one of the things that you'll kind of come to understand is that a function is one-to-one. Okay, so it means that for every value of x, that there's a unique value for y. So one of the things I look at here is I look at my x value. So here's 3 and 5. So that's a unique value for x and unique value for y. So here's uh, um, 6 and 22. So those are unique. Um, 9 and -2, 12 and 3, and 3 and 8. So right off the bat, I have 3 and 8 and 3 and 5. So there are two values for y for this one value of x. So this relation is not a function, and I can check this, how do I do? And I got that correct. It says the independent variable 3 has two outputs, 5 and 3, and therefore is not a function. If you want to try another, you can, or you can move on to the next unit. So there's a lot of really good things here. If you click the next unit item, okay, you'll get into function notation, and you'll know that function notation is right here. Okay, so if you watch this video, there's a video to watch in the CEMC, and so we'll click that. And you can see that it kind of comes up.
Win at work by communicating effectively with.
Okay, and there's.
He is emailing. In this video, we're going to talk about function notation. So
Okay.
now we know what a
I'm not going to go through that, but there's a link there. And you know that like this is also covered. Sorry, I think we're on this page right here. Function notation is also covered in here. So you want to make sure that you're going through the CEMC for all of these little sections in this unit. Okay. It's very good. There's lots of little videos. And then as you scroll down, you can get into function notation. Okay. Lots of good explanations and some examples. Okay. And then you can get into. So I think if you go to function notation, I was gonna check to see what happens when you go through your. I think it likes you to try your understanding. So check your understanding, f of 4. So if I plug in 4 for x here, we have 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 28 is 36. Square root of 36 is 6. And so we can, how do you do there? And boom. Okay, we got, boom goes the dynamite. Okay, so lots of good little things there. We can try another. This one, I would say you probably need a pencil and paper for to sub in your p minus 1. So just like we did the 4 above, you got to put in p minus 1 for x. And then as you expand the brackets and things like that, then you have to simplify and you end up with an answer. Okay. So if you click how did I do, right, it says I got it wrong, but then it shows you the explanation of how it went through it. Okay, so I would try this on a piece of paper. That would probably be the best way to do it, and you end up with this simplified version after you substituted p minus 1 for x, right? Substitute p minus 1, expand, right? Simplify, and you end up with a simplified version for h of p minus 1. Okay. Um, Anyways, I think that's a good enough overview to get you started, and hopefully that clarifies a few things. Um, you want to then what I would do after you've gone through this unit is do your delta math, function notation assignment. So remember that as as I noted in the announcements, these tips for the delta math assignments are they're like homework, okay? And you can try them and make mistakes, and then you don't get penalized for making mistakes. But they're in the order that they're actually listed by name in Delta Math, so they're not in the order that they appear in the content. So as you're going through this content, you do the Delta Math assignment that is named. So this one says after I've gone through function notation, I see function notation, I go to delta math and I do function notation. Now the next one in order is, after I've done my domain and range lesson, I can go to delta math and I do the domain and range um, delta math assignment. Okay, so that's the order that you do them. So you have to go through the list and find the domain and range assignment in delta math, and that's how you navigate the delta math compared to this content. Okay, so I hope that clarifies a few things. Um, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. I'm here. Generally, I'm up in the morning, and I like to work in the morning, and but I know a lot of students aren't up in the morning. Generally in the afternoon, I work out and do some errands and things like that. But then I'm on again in the evenings. But I'm generally available all day. So, if I have my phone, I can answer your questions. But, I like to be in front of my computer in the mornings and the evenings because I find that that's when most students are working. But don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. I hope that helps. Have a great day.